Count Thursday is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app. That's arenaeats.app for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?
The World Wrestling Federation, for over 50 years, the revolutionary force in sports entertainment.
Oh, it's live, pal.
We're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never, ever end.
Everybody three count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Or maybe The Rock has got to beat Triple H himself, which means he's got to beat the game in the middle of the ring. And he has a $2 for a wife.
You're too damn selfish, and that's why you're sitting there with a bad leg, and that's why I kicked your leg out of your leg.
You guys talk about being students of the game. I am the game, JR.
3 ain't enough now, I need 5. Welcome in Jim, Ryan, Matt, Tim, and intern Mark.
Oh my goodness, what am I doing? There's a 1, there's a 2. Oh!
Wow.
Well, you can take that brass ring and shove it up your ass.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to 3 Count Thursday. We are live Thursday night, March the 11th, 2021. We are still the podcast of the millennium. We are glad that you are here with us. Devin, William, and others who are joining us live. Give us a like. Give us a share. We'd appreciate that. Get as many people in here as possible here on this, what was a gorgeous and absolutely gorgeous Thursday in central Pennsylvania. I think we topped out somewhere around like the 75, 78 degree mark, set some records here in central PA. So it was absolutely wonderful. The last snow piles in my front yard are like ground level now. We're just about through them. They're just about gone. It is wonderful that they are finally just about out of here, and we are glad that you are with us here on a Thursday night. So let's start. Let's go around the room. Tim, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. I know the prime question right now is before it's been like who shot JR and other things. The question is, where's Ryan?
That is the question.
And he's not here. While he is not here, he is and always will be what his show holder says.
I'm a sausage guy.
He's still a sausage guy, but he actually saw the schedule for WrestleMania week, and he's decided to go into hibernation to charge up and get ready for the festivities. So he'll be away for a little bit, and when he finally kicks out of his slumber, getting charged up for WrestleMania week, he'll be back. But until then, he's got the do not disturb hooked on the door. He's catching all of his slumber, catching up, because WrestleMania is back in business, baby. Woo.
It is. It certainly is. We looked at the schedule, Monday night Raw, Tuesday night Hall of Fame, Wednesday, Thursday, NXT TakeOver, Friday, SmackDown, Saturday, Sunday, WrestleMania, Monday, Raw, Tuesday, if the reports are true, NXT moving to Tuesday. Although I did see something today that the contract talks between NBC and
the NHL.
The NHL have kind of broken down. So there's a possibility NXT may not be moving. So
unrelated question. I have this pair of scissors. Is there something I should do with this?
Don't run with them. I know that.
Okay.
I know you do. I know.
Because just WrestleMania week looks to be...
It's going to be rough. And it's somewhere along those lines, we have to podcast. You, Tim, have to podcast even more than we do. So it's going to be a lot. Tentatively speaking, now we will officially announce when we will be airing that week. But tentatively, we will be on Tuesday night to preview NXT TakeOver, and either Friday night or Saturday during the day to preview WrestleMania. But we will put something official out on that one. I did forget to mention, make sure you go to 3countthursday.com. That is our homepage. Follow all of our social media, our merchandise at, of course, whatamaneuver.net.
What a maneuver.
Thank you, Tim. Our Patreon page, Home Network, NGSC Sports, and Leib Sports, LEIB Sports.com. So make sure you are subscribed wherever you can find podcasts. Scotty says Hall of Fame is boring anyway. That's what we figured. Look, we'll talk about the Hall of Fame and the plans for it this year later in the news and rumors. But it's one of those things where I feel like if you want to catch the speeches and all of that, it's actually easier to do it on demand and kind of one at a time. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched a Hall of Fame in full. Matt,
How you doing?
I'm doing well. This is my first full week back in the office, so looking forward to this weekend more so than I have in quite some time. I did want to say I forgot to shout these guys out a few weeks ago when it happened, but shout out to Jack and Fredo from Move Makers Moving for helping me out with some furniture the other week. I told them, both avid listeners of the show, that I would show them some love. So thank you, Jack and Fredo. Finished my diet green tea already before the show even started, so I am dry for the rest of the episode here, guys.
Whoa, that's
Wow.
that's bold. That's bold. Intern Mark,
How you doing?
Hi, boys. I'm doing real good. I mean, real good.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, boys. I'm doing real good. You think about it, last year at this time, we were looking at a pandemic and a shutdown. We didn't know what to expect. And here we are a year later. And hopefully things are looking up for everybody.
hopefully, yeah. I think as we're on the air right now, President of the United States addressing the nation and expected to announce that all adults, the vaccine should be available to all adults who want them no later than the beginning of May. I saw that even dentists and veterinarians will be able to administer vaccine shots.
Makes sense.
Right. Because initially I kind of had the same look on my face that you did, Tim.
But they shoot
and then I thought
Novocaine.
about it.
They shoot
and then I thought about
Novocaine.
it for a minute that, I mean, vets give shots, dentists give shots. Why the hell not, man? The more people to administer the shot, the more people can get shots. Matt, any update on what your superpower is? Have you discovered that yet?
Not yet. I think I need to wait for like the first full moon or the first like adequate rainfall. So I'm still.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Scotty says 1 year anniversary of Rudy Gobert being a ding dong. Yeah, no doubt. That clip will always live in infamy.
Just coughing on every microphone.
What?
And like touching them all. Like,
what a fucking what a stupid asshole.
Patient Zero himself.
Yeah. Oh, it's fine. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Oh, guys, I'm sick.
So, for those who are interested in that topic, I know that it's still very touchy, but ESPN podcasts, I think it might have only been a Sirius exclusive, but or an XM exclusive, but there was a podcast done called March 10th, 2020, which is it breaks down everything that happened in March or on that day, because the official like day one of America starting to shut down. But that podcast is really good because they actually interviewed like Rudy Gobert, and they had Fauci, and they had like Jordan Clarkson and Mark Cuban on and everything. Cause like there's certain things that happen during that day that you don't even see, or that you didn't see, and they're retelling the story about how like everybody's filled into the American Airlines Center in Dallas, ready for the game. It's Mavericks versus Thunder, and the halftime performer comes out before the game starts, performs. Who's the guy who did Sugar Sugar?
Like the oldies song?
No, the new one.
No idea.
Adam Levine.
Baby Bash, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure.
So he was the musical artist. And he comes out, he does his stuff before the show. And then as soon as he performs, they say, all right, everybody, the game's been canceled. Have a good night. Didn't even tip off, didn't do anything. They were like, send out Baby Bash, let him perform, and then everybody else,
no idea who that is.
Go the F home.
Yeah, it was nuts. And we'll talk about like this 1 year anniversary a little bit later, because it was a year ago today that it was declared a global pandemic, and looking back on what has now been a year in pandemic wrestling. We will kind of look back on some of the best, some of the worst, some of the things we may not have gotten if it wasn't for this period in time. And obviously we're still in it. So again, not, regardless of how you feel about the whole thing, please still wear your mask and still be smart. This would be like, taking, cutting your chute loose when you have about, 2,000 feet to go. So just,
I'll live. I'll make it.
Oh, I'll be fine. I'll be totally
2,000 feet. Just jump, tuck, and roll, right?
yeah, exactly. But let's get into the. I gotta get my screen on the right spot. Let's hit the weekly segment. Of course, we're looking at March 11th in pro wrestling history. One birthday, Gary Wolf, who was Pitbull #1 of ECW's The Pitbulls. Was born today, 1967. 1941, Bronco Nagurski, yes, the football player, but also professional wrestler, wins his second National Wrestling Association World Heavyweight title in Minneapolis, Minnesota, defeating Ray Steele. Nagurski was also recognized as champion in Toronto. 1989, the WWF's 20th edition of Saturday Night's Main Event airs on NBC, earning a 10.0 rating. The show was taped on February 16th at the Hershey Park Arena in Hershey, Pennsylvania. 1993, Canadian strongman Dino Bravo was shot to death in his home in St. Leonard, now part of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Rumors circled that he was then making a living as part of a cigarette smuggling ring run by elements of organized crime within the city. He had retired from pro wrestling in 1992 after a 22-year career. He was just 43 years old. His assailants have never been found. There was a episode of Dark Side of the Ring talking about this. Quite an interesting look at that. Obviously, a sad moment. 1996, the Monday Night War continued with WCW's Monday Nitro 3.2 rating, beating WWF Monday Night Raw's 2.9. I'm not sure exactly where that fell in the midst of the 83 weeks, but Nitro won in 96. 2007, TNA Wrestling held their third Destination X pay-per-view from the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida, in front of 900 fans. The tagline for the show is "First you must die in order to live." The show featured 9 matches, and in the main event, Christian Cage defeated Samoa Joe to retain the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. 2009, former WWF Intercontinental Champion and MMA legend Ken Shamrock was suspended for 1 year, fined $2,500 by the California State Athletic Commission after testing positive for 3 different types of steroids. The suspension effectively canceled a planned Shamrock versus Bobby Lashley MMA bout. And those are the events that happened March the 11th in pro wrestling history.
Oh, what could have been.
What could have been. Shamrock versus Lashley. We never got to see it.
I mean, it's because, but isn't Damian Priest an MMA guy? Couldn't he have just filled right in and It done the whole strikey deal.
I mean, he probably could have. And
I mean, it'd have been the best. I mean, it'd have been the top buy rate for Strike Force ever, right?
Was it for a United States? Does the UFC or whatever company, do they have a United States title? Because that's where
it would be the United States Light Heavyweight Championship, I'm sure.
Very, very good. So those things happened today. Well, we had a pay-per-view this past weekend. Do we want to start at the end and work through it, or we want to build our way up to
build up to it?
Got to build up to the big finish. All right. Yeah. AEW Revolution. Okay, we'll start on the buy-in. Did anybody watch the buy-in?
Yes.
Dr. Britt Baker and Maki Ito defeating Riho and Thunder Rosa. I mean,
it's fine.
Yeah, it was fine. Nothing special there, but it was fine.
Foreshadowing. Because the team somehow the dentist and the Japanese fallen idol are matching. They had never teamed before in their lives, and they were matching.
Total coincidence.
Ooh.
Main card starts. Young Bucks defeating the Inner Circle tag team match to retain the AEW World Tag Team title. 17 minutes and 50 seconds. This is one of my higher graded matches of the night.
Actually, let's talk about your grading. I think this might be the fairest assessment of your grading in the history of grades.
I don't know. I was actually, if you would go back in the archives and listen to my review of Elimination Chamber, I did crap pretty hard all over that show. Because it was bad.
My thought process is Jim goes into a WWE pay-per-view and it's already at like a B+. And we just kind of see where we go from there. We go into AEW at like a C-. we can see where we go.
I mean, I can't say that you're wrong. I won't confirm that you're right, but I can't say that you're wrong.
There's definitely a grading curve for Jim.
Sure. Yeah, we'll call it that. I mean, the pre-show match got a C+. There was nothing necessarily bad about it. That there wasn't necessarily anything great about it. This match here got a B-. Wasn't a bad match to start the card. There was definitely some moments that didn't look great. There was some botches on all fronts. But it wasn't a terrible match by any stretch of the imagination.
My problem for the night, and it was a theme, is I feel like every match went about 5 to 7 minutes too long.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Like it felt like an indie show where like guys go out there and they do their stuff and they get it all in. And
some of those. Shows.
And it's not to say that like the match is bad.
No.
But some dudes go out there and like they put out like they have like a 13-minute match. And you're in your head, you're like, that would have been a real hot 9-minute match.
Right.
But
like
you found
go out there.
You found 4 minutes of shit to do.
They go out there, they're like, all right, we got 9, but I know the guy's not going to come out and just stop me. So I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Well, and when a third of your matches have guys in charge in them anyway, you kind of have a little bit of reign to
how long did that match even go?
1750. This one was 17,
and that should have been like a 14-minute match, man. They should like,
yeah, if that match doesn't scrape double digits, it's probably a pretty good match.
Oh, it'd be infinitely better, and Jericho wouldn't have gotten blowed up like he was.
Wow. I don't know about that.
Or as bad as he did. I'll put it that way.
I mean, Jericho's on the wrong side of 50, so certainly he's getting blown up pretty quick in his matches.
Shut your ass.
Is he 50?
I think he's exactly 50.
Isn't he?
He's exactly 50.
Exactly. When's his birthday?
November 9.
Okay, so he just turned 50. I would have guessed he would be closing in on 51.
Closing in on 501. Not there you.
Mark, you now you had this in Spanish commentary, which at times was much better than the English commentary that we had. But what do you think of this, man?
Si, senor. You know, I gotta agree with Tim. I felt these matches went a little long. I completely agree with your assessment, Tim. Overall, it wasn't bad, but I'm starting, unfortunately, to get used to being disappointed with AEW pay-per-views after the last few. So I kind of go in with low expectations anymore. But this match was okay.
Yeah, we will. We'll obviously get to our grades and this and that. Yeah, Lou, we'll obviously get to that ending in a little bit. Second match, Rey Fenix won, representing Death Triangle, won the Casino Tag Team Royale, 26 minutes 45-second last, eliminating Jungle Boy from the Jurassic Express. Yeah, I mean, again, long.
The timer between teams coming out was 90 seconds. If you cut that to a minute, that's 7 minutes you're saving in match time.
Also, did it have to be like 16 teams? Like it
30 man. I mean, if I love this match. Watching this match made me realize how much of a sucker I am for battle royals. Like, you could literally put a battle royal on every wrestling show I watch.
Oh, I mean,
from
AEW
now,
battle royal on every show.
I mean, they will, inevitably they will. But like, you literally could put a battle. Hey, independent wrestling bookers. Once like the pandemic stuff's gone away and there's not a limitation on the number of people that can be close to each other safely, how about everybody book a battle royale and I'll buy a ticket?
Why am I coming?
That's why. That's why. Battle royals, man.
I love battle royals. I love the Royal Rumble. There was points in this match though, and I don't know if it's the way it was produced, the way commentary was lost, or what, but there was a lot of points where I was confused as to who was in or why they were in or who was, like it got confusing. Now, the end, once you got down to like the last 6, the last 7, especially the final 2-3 it was really good finish to it.
So I just have a question.
Yes.
Do you remember who the final 4 were?
Well, it was both was it both guys of the Death Triangle?
Mm-hmm.
It was Jungle Boy and it was, I probably can't remember, but that was all the way back to Sunday. So you're asking me to reach back real hard on this one.
But you can remember who the final 4 of the Royal Rumble was, right? No?
It was Edge.
I remember 3.
Edge. It was Edge. It was
Edge.
Christian.
Randy
Orton.
Yeah,
Orton.
Because he popped back in at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was either Seth or Sheamus, I thought.
I think it was Seth. It was Seth, Edge, Christian, Edge, and then Orton, technically.
Now I'm curious as to who the hell was the last guy in the Battle Royale.
I mean, let's talk about something because it's been mentioned here.
Johnny Hungy.
That's it.
Last couple times. For me, commentary took a full letter grade off of this show.
I think Jim Ross was legitimately sick.
I agree. He was, and he probably should have bowed out for that because he didn't do himself any favors.
No.
But I mean, their reactions, their calling of the matches, and I'm sure we'll talk about the way they sold the 2-day.
I'm gonna eat, goddammit.
But it was just, to me, commentary detracted heavily from the overall product on that show.
AEW now, okay. Elephant in the room. What did you get from Rita's, Tim?
I believe
That's a gelati.
It is a gelati, but I have to see what flavor ice it is.
Mango.
Swedish fish.
It is a root beer gelati.
Ah, so it's like a root beer float. Like that.
Yes.
Like
So
that.
good.
Yeah, I might have to make a Rita's run this weekend because I love me some Ritas. But yeah, commentary on AEW is one of my biggest issues with them in general. Like, I understand the WWE commentary ain't great because it's overproduced. AEW's commentary seems like it's not produced at all. Therein lies some of the problem, because I feel like you have three color guys or three play-by-play guys constantly stepping over on each other's feet. Plus, you have a roaming group of like number 4 through 7 extra guys on the table at any given time, and it's very convoluted. Like Excalibur, I actually do really enjoy more than I did when AEW first started, but it's I feel like everybody's constantly stepping on each other, and it's not. And I do, and like, and I'm not, I don't want to be overcritical, because there are points, and we've been there because we've all called stuff that, like, if I'm play by play and you guys are doing color, there's gonna come points in the night where you're talking and something happens and you're just gonna call it, and like that's fine. But with AEW, it feels like everybody's just constantly talking, and just it's bad. I don't like it.
They also have a ton of commentators.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, so it's Jim Ross, Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, Taz, Paul White, and then like wrestlers who do commentary. Oh, Don Callis. So
Right.
That's 6. Eddie Kingston has been on multiple times. -1 has been on.
Right, he does a lot of on Dark.
On Dark. I'm trying to think of who else does like guest spots on commentary often.
Omega has.
Kenny
Jericho
has. Jericho.
Jericho's
Jericho, you
on
can.
a lot.
Jericho,
And
you can like
apparently he's gonna
pencil
be
in.
on the Dark Elevation on the regular.
Yeah, like,
and like I don't mind having, because WWE goes to that well more than they should too. Like, this isn't just an AEW problem, but AEW goes to it real heavy.
Yeah.
Real heavy. Like, it's okay to have, an extra person on commentary ever here or there, like, especially if, Moxley's facing Pac, and, Omega is wrestling Moxley soon. So Omega's scouting Moxley and he's on commentary. But like, there's so many times where I feel like Omega just will come out and put a headset on. I was like, I just felt like coming out and sit and talk on commentary.
Yeah.
Why? You already have 3 guys out here. Like, why are we adding a 4th? And I love JR. JR is part of probably my second favorite commentary team ever. It's like, especially because of the era, like during the Attitude Era, like him and the King were fantastic. But like, and I get it. He's had hard times with the Bell's palsy. He's over the last couple of years had a hard time, like with his wife passing away. Like, JR, he's not on commentary as sharp as he always was.
No.
And it's not an insult to him. It's a reality. Like, I think when he does like the interview segments, like when he was like interviewing FTR when they first came in and things like that, I think he is fantastic in that role. I think he should be off the commentary table, but I think it's one of those things where nobody wants to make that call for him.
Right. I mean, it's got to be a respect thing. He certainly earned it, but I mean, it's got to be one of those things like JR, I feel like has enough pride where he's probably going to come to the realization soon, like, hey, this isn't for me anymore. I think we're past that point, but I just don't think he's there yet. But I think it's coming relatively soon. But I mean, I've never really noticed the commentary until this past pay-per-view where it just stood out to me as like, this is just bad. And I mean, there was the match itself was just kind of a cluster, which is come to be expected with a battle royal, but you have to be quick and calling that action. And there were just times where I felt it was lulling, and they just were not putting people over. It was just kind of like scissor kick. Oh, Justin's eliminated. Oh, what's Allie doing interfering in this? It's like guys, get hype or something. Like, I know JR's sick, so I'll give him a pass, but if that's the case, the other two have to carry more weight, and they just didn't.
Well, and that's another situation too, where I mean, especially we're in a fucking global pandemic, like where everybody's told, like, if you're sick, stay home. And like you have JR just like starting off commentary sounding like he gargled gravel. So maybe just pull him off the table that night. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, even like obviously we'll talk about like when Ethan Page debuted, it was like, I'm seeing Ethan Page.
Yeah.
Wow, way to bring the guy in on his first night, guys.
And I mean, that was someone we were all kind of looking forward to as like a big debut for AEW, and it was just the fanfare was just dead from all of them. It's just like, oh, and here's Ethan Page.
Right. And like here's the deal. Again, I will 100% agree that WWE's commentary is way too overproduced. Like, they are told what to say literally to a fault, because there's points where it's just like, I feel like you have like a big moment in a match and they're like, remember to subscribe to the WWE Network on Peacock. We're switching over in the middle of March. It's like, don't you want to like talk about that big thing that literally just happened? Like, Randy Orton just lit a guy on fire. Like, I think we know how to subscribe to an app on our phone. Like, I get that.
Do you remember for like a solid 2 weeks, Jimmy the King or Jerry the King just ate Sonic fast food during matches?
This match brought to you by Sonic. There it is. Oh, sorry, choked on a fry. Like, and of course, they always have like the Mountain Dew energy drink sitting right there and stuff like that. So like, I get it. And when sponsors pay you money, that's the sort of thing you have to do.
Yeah.
But you can tell there's definitely points where AEW is not produced. So you have to find that middle ground. Like, WWE has to dial it down. AEW has to turn it up. Like, there has to be somebody back there. And here's the thing. I don't know how the backstage works. Because if it's only Tony Khan sitting at that table, I don't know if he's that guy. And that's not just to shit on Tony Khan. Vince McMahon knows how he wants his show to look and feel and be. I don't know if Tony's capable of doing that at this point. So like, because there's points where commentary, and I get like, if you're just trying to play up an angle of I don't know what's going on, that's one thing. But when I hear like Shivani and JR and Excalibur all say, I have no idea what's happening right now, I literally think they're being honest. I think they have no clue what is happening. And there's times where, and I get where we're super keyed into stuff like that because we've called shows. There's points where you can tell that they're watching what's happening in front of them, not what's happening on a monitor. Because there's times where they're calling stuff that I don't see. I don't know if regular fans even totally key in on that, but I do.
For the sake of catching up, what match are we on?
We're still at the Battle Royal. We've been ruminating about commentary.
On a tangent about
commentary. Okay, that's fair.
like, I mean, I gave the Battle Royal a B minus. Like, I mean, I enjoy Battle Royals. They're fun. The ending was great. I did not think that Death Triangle was winning. So, you know, that genuinely surprised me, but in a good way. So, you know, it'll be a theme for later, but if you sometimes the finish can save or hinder what happens prior to it. So the finish here was good. I enjoyed that one. Then we what's that?
B minus.
Then we move to the women's title. Hikaru Shida defeats Ryu Mizunami for the AEW women's title. 15 minutes and 10 seconds. I'll be 100% on this match. Did zero for me. I wasn't like invested in this match at all. I'm not a Japanese wrestling fan, so I'm not discrediting the two women for having a great physical match, but for me, this is a nothing burger. I was bored out of my skull watching this match. And that's me. That's my preference to a style.
I think that might also just be like your lack of interest in the champion and challenger. Like this match really didn't have any heat coming into it.
Yeah.
Like it's the tournament final with somebody who we've never heard of. And I feel like while she is crammed down our throats, it may have been more palpable if it were Nyla Rose in that spot. But it is what it is. We got what we got. And foreshadowing.
Like I gave the match a B minus, and like the reason I gave it a B minus is because watching.
Time out.
Wait.
Time out. So this match that was a nothing burger for you got the same grade as the previous match that you enjoyed.
Because I'm watching the match and I can see that it is a good wrestling match.
Okay.
Like, but it doesn't connect with me. So like I don't want to completely throw away what the women did just because the style of the match isn't for me.
Tim, I think your hope of getting clarification on Jim's grading is just out the window.
Yeah, I don't get it. Because I easily thought this was the worst match on the card. Easily.
I didn't care for it either. I understood what they were doing. I think it meant more to the people in the match than the people watching the match, which, you know, happens sometimes.
And that's another thing too with like Japanese wrestling, and especially Japanese women's wrestling. Like there are pieces at play where like if a Joshi is in America and they're wrestling, like for example, we have not seen Aja Kong get pinned or anything at all. It's been countouts. It's been somebody else takes the fall. Because you want to talk about how like we protect our stars. It's a whole different ball game in Japan. Yeah. It is. You're serving many masters over there.
Mark, any thoughts on this one?
Oh man, I'll tell you, I'm right there with you guys too. I'm just not interested in it. I don't dislike the Japanese women's wrestling, but just zero interest. Just could have done without it. It felt almost forced, but hey, it is what it is. It was a good time to go take a bathroom break and get a snack. I'll tell you what.
See, I actually thought the next two matches were a great time to take a bathroom break.
What did we think of the new stable, apparently?
The
Britt Baker, Maki Ito, Vicky Guerrero, and Nyla Rose.
Sure. I mean, I don't have any investment in Maki Ito at this point because I I don't know anything about her. I was confused as hell why she was singing when she came out for the pre-show match. You know,
that's easily explainable in like a Google search.
But also I feel like, and we saw it last night on Dynamite, everybody gets a manager, everybody gets a faction. It just like, I just feel we're just faction heavy, manager heavy. Can anybody stand on their own in that company?
It's Japan. That's the Japanese influence in AEW.
Okay.
Because like in Japan, there's like Suzuki-gun, and there's like the Ingobernables de Japón, and there's Bullet Club, and there's like Chaos. There's all of these groups, but they're not necessarily stables. It's kind of like fight teams in MMA. You got like American Top Team, and you got stuff like that. That's how it is with like in Japan. Like you've got Suzuki-gun, so everybody's together, and that's why you have a lot of like 8-man tags in New Japan, because all of them are in the same group.
And AEW.
They're in the same group. AEW is kind of flexing that way too, especially with now the new super group there's 2 super groups now, and that broke up exactly how I didn't think it was going to happen.
Yeah, that was
which is cool.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't see it going that way. But yeah, okay. So that kind of makes sense then. That kind of makes sense. I'll see where it goes from here. But then we go to tag team match, shortest match of the night, 7 minutes and 50 seconds. Miro and Kip Sabian defeat the Best Friends. I loved the pre-match, like they jump him. Miro just looks like a badass, and then like 2 minutes into the 7-minute match, I felt like a lot of that was undone. I thought Miro just looked goofy, and like I thought this could have been a moment where Miro could just clean house and win in like literally like 2 minutes and look like a badass. And again, I think he just comes across goofy and silly, and not what I need from a Bulgarian monster. This match stank out loud for me. I actually gave this a C-. Didn't like it at all.
And I thought that this was exactly what I needed to see out of Miro.
Oof.
Like, he is aggressive. He is showing signs that he doesn't care about Kip. You can see from this match that like this partnership with Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford was a way for him to get in the door via storyline, besides getting, he's a WWF guy.
Right.
But like super aggressive, super ferocious. I thought this is exactly what we need from Miro. Better than the B women's match.
I understand that logic, and I'm fine with that. For me, just Miro in a tag team doesn't do it for me. I think that's why this match didn't do it for me. Like Rusev, Miro, to me, is always going to be a singles wrestler. So I like, that direction if that's where we're going.
Yeah, because
and that's fine with the buildup, but just to see him continue in tag team, it's just, that's not what I want to see out of him. So once he gets out, I think I'll enjoy what he does a lot more. It's just for now, I can't really get into it.
I think that's where I'll be.
Yeah, because you can absolutely see in this match, like Rusev was like demanding the tags, like tag me, like me, like my time.
Yeah.
And Kip was barely in the match.
Which is fine, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to suck that like they're going to make Kip Sabian the babyface out of this deal. But then
if it leads to a match where we just see Miro squash Kip, then I'm on board with that as well.
Sign me up.
You'd think, right?
You would think.
You would hope. Mark, Your thoughts on this one?
He's a heel. No, same thing, man. I just really didn't care for it. Didn't enjoy it. I had higher hopes for Rusev in AEW, but hopefully that's going to change here. So we'll see. But overall, yeah, it just kind of added to a disappointing pay-per-view, in my opinion.
Next one, 14 minutes, 40 seconds, the big money match. Hangman Adam Page defeats Big Money Matt Hardy. This one also got a C-. God, Matt Hardy's bad. He's not good. Like, thank God Adam Page won, but like Matt Hardy was sloppy. Matt Hardy was slow. Like, again, I literally wrote down, thank God Adam Page won. He deserves better. Matt Hardy sucks. That's exactly what I wrote as my notes for this match.
You want to talk about nothing burgers? That's this. Matt Hardy is a nothing.
This was tied for my lowest match of the night.
God bless Adam Page.
Amen.
He tried his best.
Matt Hardy's debut in AEW, I think, was cool, but ever since then, it's been just not even a slow. It's just, I think it was a fast crash to the bottom, and it's just like he does absolutely nothing for me. I mean, to be fair, I still haven't watched the final deletion thing, but like the Matt Hardy return to WWE beyond that initial return with the tag team at Mania, I think had a fast crash and burn for me as well, which is unfortunate because I think Matt Hardy, quite the opposite of what we were just talking about, Rusev, a fantastic tag team wrestler, but he's just never done it for me in singles. And this match was just further evidence of that. If I never see Matt Hardy wrestle a singles match again, I don't think I'll be too upset.
Yeah, Mark.
That's a shame. That's a shame. Once again, this match really didn't care. The stipulations that were silly. Same thing with Matt Hardy's debut. I mean, everything was exciting and wonderful, but there's probably a place for Matt Hardy in AEW, but I don't know that being an active wrestler in the ring is that. Maybe
Adam the commentary.
Yeah, you might as well at this point. You might as well.
Jim, can you hit me with the Price is Wrong for Matt Hardy's singles career in AEW, please?
Where is it? You're looking for this guy?
Yeah,
there we go. I was thinking the Price is Wrong bitch from Epic, which actually I should probably have on the board.
Pretty solid one.
But yeah, I don't need him in, especially not in a big money match, which again, nine matches and all but 2 of them had a gimmick, I think. Then we move to the face of the
follow up to that. Like, do we see Matt Hardy like sign over a check or something, or is it just we're just in good faith?
I think we just trust that Matt Hardy.
It was an electronic funds transfer.
We didn't get a screenshot of Paige's Venmo account, but
AEW likes Venmoing.
AEW loves casino stuff, so like Adam Page just took all of Matt's chips and cashed them in.
Didn't Page, wasn't he riding something that Matt Hardy owned or something on Dynamite? I forget exactly what he was doing.
Maybe
I think he was working on was it a lawnmower?
Something like that. I think he may have had like some kind of a zero-turn tractor or something he had that was Hardy's.
Something. Then we go to the face of the Cody Revolution ladder match. Scorpio Sky winning 23 minutes and 15 seconds. This one I got a B. I mean, it was a fun match. There was more. It was more like kind of technical things that kind of bothered me in this one. Lance Archer just crouching in between the ladder, waiting to get his fucking back destroyed, and the whole match, just watching Cody and Arn Anderson and 40 doctors standing in the tunnel. Like, come on, man. Like, just move. Like, pretend like you're not there. Because the whole, like, I'm trying not to watch Cody coming back in the match. Like, I know he's coming back in the match, but don't tell me he's coming back the whole time.
Isn't it miraculous how much Cody can make things about Cody? Like, they do the injury angle, but then for the next like 7 minutes, him and his gang of goons are at the top of the ramp, and they're continually cutting to like a wide hard cam shot that shows them deliberating whether or not he's going to come back. Like, anyone who's ever watched wrestling knows Cody's coming back into the match, and he's probably going to win. Because usually...
I fully expected him to win.
Usually, the dude who comes back is like, he's involved in the finish.
Yeah. Which he was, right? Like,
Scorpio Sky face palmed Cody off the top of the ladder.
Yeah. So, but like, I expected it to go the other way. And I'm happy it didn't. But man, yeah, I mean, Scorpio Sky took a couple of ladder bumps that I'm shocked that he was still walking, more or less winning the match. Props to that dude. Again, fun match, but yeah, it was technical things that marked it down a little.
How old do y'all think Scorpio Sky is?
Well, I know he's older than he's 43.
No,
38.
Matt?
I said 29.
He's 37.
Okay.
I mean,
he's been wrestling forever.
I do like that this time they didn't just give the golden ring to the debuting star. So, I mean, there's them growing.
Can we talk? Can we talk about how they like ran onto the set of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and stole that ring?
All I could think about is it was like a pool, like just a pool floater tube.
So was it like a giant Cheerio that was just hanging above the ring, and just
they got it from the warehouse? Conrad Thompson sent it to him.
What's the protein cereal that they plug all the time? Magic Spoon. It's a Magic Spoon box.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was it was definitely over the top, but
that was bad.
I thought that this, beyond the final or the main event minus the end of the main event, was the match of the night. In my opinion, I thought there were good spots. I like Scorpio Sky getting the win there. I did like seeing Ethan Page debut despite the lack of fanfare from the commentary team, which we talked about earlier. So I think all in all, it was just an overall good match for me. Just there were some spots where it was just, come on.
And shout outs to Max Caster. Like, he looked like he belonged in this match. He really stood out. It was a breakout performance for him. So
yeah, definitely agree. Mark.
For me, this was one of the highlights of the pay-per-view. I struggled with that full float ring being there. I don't know if they come up with something better or don't use a gold ring. I don't know, but that was kind of, for me, that was tough to get around the Team Scorpio Sky holding this spray painted full floaty. But
like Lee says,
overall,
hemorrhoid donut.
They must have got that from Vader. Rest his soul.
He don't need it no more.
No. Too soon? Too soon?
No.
Too soon.
No.
Oh, man.
No.
You guys, do you remember when LCW or KPW, whatever it was at the time, when that after party we were there with Vader? Did you guys come out, or was that just myself and Smokey?
Oh no, I was out for that at
the brass,
your place,
was the brasserie?
Right?
I
thought that one was at your place.
Yeah, it wasn't your place. Yeah, it wasn't the brasserie. But poor Vader was there, 1 o'clock in the morning, or whatever it was, eating this gigantic burger, sitting on this little donut ring kind of thing on the chair. It was just unusual. See, a 400+ pound former multi-time world champion.
Yeah, those are tiny ass chairs at that place. I didn't feel comfortable
Yeah.
on them. I know that much.
That was, yeah,
the street fight, Darby Allin and Sting defeat Team Taz. I liked it. As far as cinematic matches go, wasn't the best, wasn't the worst, but God, the commentary over this. Why is Taz yelling at like Ricky Starks to do things? Like, you're not there. First off, you're their manager. If you wanted to be involved and help them, be there. But why commentary? Like, I don't need JR calling suplexes when like Darby Allin, when it's an episode of Jackass in black and white in a warehouse. Like, I don't need to hear suplex called in that moment.
It was weird hearing Taz talk about it in the past tense at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and then immediately change tense.
Like, oh yeah, it's real. It's happening now.
It's like, we were real worried about this match. And then, yeah, but now we're here at the thing. We're at a random warehouse that has a wrestling ring in it, and it's lit. And I apparently needed to see the movie of how Sting and Darby get to the warehouse, because holy shit, that was half the time of the match.
Yeah, sure was.
I mean,
Sure
the only way that could have been any worse is if there was a giant advertisement for like the Chevrolet Colorado just right across the screen or something. Like it just
like a rock.
Now, what was cool is Darby, the dude who sings Darby Allin's theme, was in the trailer or in the
parade of Darbies.
No, he was in there's a scene with like a television screen and a guy painted like Darby Sting singing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's him. I think his name is like Wiccan Phase or something like that.
Okay. I did like that they matched their face paints as well. Sting and Darby.
Sting is like the stepdad who is trying to find any way to bond with his wife's son. You like skateboards? Oh, me.
Like skateboards and painting your face like a skull? I'm in, kid.
Me too. How you feel about baseball?
I do wish Darby would have gotten the fall though in the match. Like, and I get it. It's like Sting's welcome back and whatever, and he didn't get a win in WWE.
Be careful what word you use there, Jim, because Darby did get the fall.
Oh, well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But yeah, it was fine. Matt, Mark, your thoughts on this one?
I didn't care for this one at all. Taz just took away from it for me. I was like, am I watching an episode of The Sopranos? Like, what is this? And I just could not get into the action because of his screaming over the top of it the whole time. And so, I mean, I'm sure if I go back and rewatch on mute, I might appreciate it a little more. But
and
it was just
the flying
It wasn't too bad
camera
in Spanish.
The flying camera across the entire warehouse was kind of weird.
Yeah.
How yoked Hook is. Like Hook is like 12. And he is just ready to
What are you feeding him, Taz?
Raw meat.
So, Mark, listening in Spanish, did they still give Taz an Italian accent as he's speaking Spanish?
Boy, I've always wanted to come in here. And now that I got a mustache, the timing feels right.
Wow, all this stuff looks pretty good. Can we get some salami and...
Brian, let me handle this. Scusi, babbidaboopy? Che cosa?
Peter, what are you doing?
Speaking Italian. Babbidaboopy?
Peter, you can't speak Italian just because you have a mustache.
Tu sei un pazzo, va via da qui. Sono stanco di te, ti do un pugno nella testa. Ti uccido con questa carne.
That was literally Taz's commentary through that whole match.
Yeah. Yep. The and the Spanish one, there was a female at one point that was doing commentary. So I can't remember what match that was. Maybe that was Taz. They may have had a female. But boy, once again, I had low expectations for this match, and I wish I would have set them a little lower, so I wouldn't have been as disappointed. But here we are.
Jeez.
It just, you knew it wasn't going to be real good going into it, but it was. They had Sting in it, so there we go.
There we go. And then finally, we go to the exploding barbed wire death match, 25 minutes, 15 seconds. Kenny Omega defeating Jon Moxley. I mean, here's the deal. I'm not a death match guy. This match didn't have my interest to begin with. I didn't turn off the pay-per-view. I stuck with it. The visual effect of like the rope pyro was all right. Was pretty cool. The things on the floor, I don't think
triple hell.
Yeah, I don't think they went off as well. But the bottom line here is that fucking ending. Holy shit. Like,
it was a mixture of both the greatest thing I had ever seen in my entire life and then what in the hell am I watching?
Snakes and sparklers are the only ones I like.
In like direct succession. Like everything with Eddie Kingston.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. He comes out. He's got the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. They try to pull him away. He shoves them off and goes to like save his friend.
Sacrifices himself for his friend.
Now, why Eddie Kingston had to die for the sins of mankind to like really weak Brock Lesnar pyro and 2 puffs of smoke, I will never know.
Yeah, like I mean, when you had like the handcuffs and the Good Brothers and Moxley's dead in the ring and all of this, and it's like, the siren may have been a little bit overkill, but I get it. You're trying to alert people because and I'm sitting there going, nobody around the ring has Bryce is in fantastic garb for this matchup, by the way, but you can see the camera guys, they're literally in like regular clothes. The workers around the ring in like regular clothes. I'm like, so if this thing just goes off, they're dead, right? Because Bryce is okay because Bryce is geared up, but these people are all going to die. And then of course he did the sirens. Everybody got warned, get the hell out of here. But
I mean, Bryce looked like he was about to cook up a batch of Blue Sky.
I thought that was a beekeeper suit he was in.
But
boy,
man, and we'll talk about the response too. But Matt, Mark, your thoughts on the match?
I actually enjoyed the match. I mean, I am a fan of deathmatch wrestling, so I thought they hit the spots pretty well. They did a lot more than I think the average wrestling fan is used to seeing. If you don't watch death matches often, I think they gave enough of a shock factor. They're not going to go full death match. So I think that they did enough with that. The exploding bat, I thought was a good spot. Mm-hmm. I thought everything, like Tim said, the whole Kingston storyline was fantastic to me.
Yeah.
But then, man, just that end. It was, and I understand what they were trying to do, but they had to know that if you're going to sell it like they did, you have to at least go the next tier up with your snakes and sparklers. Give me one M80 or something. Give me a bag.
Husker don'ts. One screamlin' whistle chaser, something.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, and like I got at least have the corners blow out. Like
Yeah.
do the gimmick like the WWE did with the big men superplexes. Just have the corners blow out.
The thing is, they may not have the technology for that.
They probably don't, but figure it out, man. If you're going to give us exploding, if you're telling me the ring's going to explode and at the end of the night, the ring is still standing as it was the whole night, you failed.
Yeah.
You failed.
Like, you know what they could have? Well, so there's two different trains of thought here. One, you have to think that they did a test run of this and got it on film and was like, this is going to work. And then come showtime, either it was too windy or it was too cold because it was 11:30 at night. And when they tested it, it was in the heat of the day, and heat rises. So like all that smoke just right into the sky. But even then, like, you could have killed the feed.
Yeah.
You could have done boom, lights go out.
Yeah.
Everything goes out.
If that smoke lingers and your last image of this pay-per-view is just smoke, that's good. When your last image is Eddie Kingston laying lifeless over a lifeless Moxley when nothing happened, not great. Mark, your thoughts on this one?
The match itself, I thought wasn't bad, but boy, you just can't get past that ending. How anticlimactic and just terrible it really was. It was so bad. I know they're trying to spin it off now as as a joke or whatever, but boy, it was just so bad. It was extremely disappointing. It just kind of summed up the whole pay-per-view, in my opinion. It was really it really was, honestly. And I hate that
reality. Expectation,
boy.
Reality.
Yeah, it
and let's talk about like the reaction and then like how they sold it last night, and then we'll go to break and as we close up on Revolution. But like the post game press conference thing is kind of cool until like you kind of don't let anybody know like what you're going to say or whatever, and you don't produce it at all. Because like Tony's there trying to like give this explanation like, well, I guess Kenny didn't rig it as much as we thought, or this happened or what have you. And then like you have Moxley and Kingston talking to the crowd who's booing the shit out of the end of your pay-per-view, saying like, this is fucking embarrassing. Like, this sucked, basically. Like, they're shitting all over it. Tony's trying to make sense of it. Like, somebody should have filled somebody in there. Like,
well, it was originally John. It was John who said that Kenny doesn't know how to make exploding rings for shit.
Right.
And Tony ran with that story. The problem with that is, why did Eddie Kingston die to nothing?
Right, because like if it goes off and nothing happens and Kingston gets up and be like, that was it?
Right, and then like have him call for help. But here's the thing too. Eddie's down, head covered. John is down, covered by Eddie.
Right.
Nobody sees what happens. So Eddie thinks that it's an effing explosion.
Well, because I mean, there was like two little booms when the smoke went up.
Sure. Boom, boom.
So if your ear's against the ring and there's a boom through the metal that's with the ring, it probably sounds pretty loud. But, oh, yeah, like maybe that's one of those moments where like you swerve a little and, we're going to try and figure out what happened with this and we'll make sense of it by Wednesday. Because the post-game presser on this one didn't make it come across well at all. last night I thought the video with Moxley and Kingston, where they're, talking about like it's embarrassing, Kenny sucks, and like Impact paid for the pyro, like that was great. And then you have Omega yelling 69 me Don in the middle of the ring, and I felt like they undid the way the good spin that Moxley and Kingston put on it. I feel like was completely undone by the Callis and Omega state. Like you could have left it at what Kingston and Moxley said, and let's focus on what's next. And they couldn't help themselves. And it reminded us how shitty it was.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I mean, Jim, as someone who says I don't like to shit on AEW, how happy were you when that happened?
Oh, it was the best. It was like Christmas, New Year's, my birthday, like all in one. Like I found a $100 bill, like in the parking lot of the grocery store. Like all of these good moments in my life.
The only way it could have been better for you is if like the smoke that billowed out turned into word clouds and said COVID's over.
Yeah, like this is all a game for a year, and like this is the big ending.
You win
for the pandemic. Like this is me finding out that I actually won, and I was like, but yeah, it was a good moment for old Big Jim because it gave me a good laugh, and but because like the match, and again, I'm not a death match guy. I did not dislike the match. I don't need to see one of those for a while, but the match was fine. The ending was bad. Overall, my grade for the show came out to a C+, and I feel like that's pretty fair.
This is a C- for me. Like everything went too long. As I explained on Viewer's Choice, if you didn't watch the pay-per-view from start to finish, but you want to see some really good matches, go and watch each match, even the Matt Hardy and Adam Page match. Like, each match on their own, good, okay to like good, great. But when you put them all together, the collective does not... A CD with 9 really great songs does not mean that's a great album if it doesn't encapsulate everything. So that's where I was. It was good matches, but not a great pay-per-view.
Matt?
Yeah, I had it as a straight C. I didn't hate the pay-per-view, but it's not one that I will rewatch. It was just average, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm glad I split the cost. If I would have paid for that in full, it would have been a lot worse. Mark?
You're not kidding. If you had to pay in full for that, that's a shame. Yeah, I give it a solid C as well. The last few AEW pay-per-views, there's been some good matches, but overall, they're not as good as I think they've started out as. So I set my expectations low, but not low enough, unfortunately. And I really do like AEW. I enjoy the product, but boy, this was a tough one.
And they're long, and especially in this era where like WWE is giving us 2-hour 30-minute long pay-per-views, like a 7:00 till midnight show, and I get they only do 4 a year, so it is a little bit different, but man, it certainly did feel long. But let's pause here. We're going to go to a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about our question of the week and a year in pandemic wrestling and much more. So stick with us. 3 Count Thursday live.
These messages. We'll be right back.
Three Count Thursday is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app. That's arenaeats.app for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis on all things sports. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, subscribe to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports, and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop. Welcome back to 3 Count Thursday live, facebook.com/3 Count Thursday. Make sure you go to the website, 3countthursday.com. You'll find our social media links, our YouTube page, our merchandise over at whatamaneuver.net.
What a maneuver.
Thank you, Tim. We have 3 great designs over there. Our collar and elbow brand deal and much more. Go to 3countthursday.com. Guys, we had a question of the week this week.
The 3 count question of the week.
And, you know, we're starting to shape out the WrestleMania season, despite the report earlier from WrestleVotes that the WrestleMania card's been blown up and is being reworked again. And I'm like, okay, so it's every year. You know, we saw Drew McIntyre win the WWE Championship last year, and so now the question is, you know, we know Bobby Lashley is the WWE champion going into WrestleMania season. We know what Roman Reigns and Edge are doing. We know what Sasha and Bianca Belair are doing. So I thought, you know, Drew's been really kind of the backbone of Monday Night Raw throughout this entire year, pretty much. And, you know, now he loses the title, and, you know, he's in a feud with Sheamus where they're literally just 2 big guys beating the holy hell out of each other on Monday nights. But what do we do with Drew McIntyre for WrestleMania? Like, if you guys have the book, if you're putting this show together, what do you guys do with Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania? Anybody want to go first?
I can.
Sure.
It's with the guy he's with right now. It's him and Sheamus. WrestleMania always has those big, high-profile like singles matches that aren't for titles. Drew was in one 2 years ago with Roman Reigns. Sheamus needs dance partner. I have a feeling that at Fastlane, vroom vroom, that they're not gonna it's not gonna come to a conclusion. Beep beep. And it's going to come down to WrestleMania, especially since it's like 3 weeks between Fastlane and WrestleMania.
Sure.
So like it only makes sense that it's Sheamus. But again, like I don't know what they're going to do with Mr. Lashley.
Bob!
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know right now where they're going with the WWE Championship. I mean, we have the theory, you know, and they threw a big guy that lives in Canada now. You know, they kind of threw his name out there on the WWE on Fox page last week, but you know, if that isn't the actual plan, yeah, I don't know exactly where we're going with the WWE Championship. I'm there with you, Tim. I'm kind of feel the same way. I think that Sheamus feels like the right answer. I've enjoyed their matches on Raw. I hope we don't get them every week between now and WrestleMania, though. Like, if that's the plan, you know, I think we may get something at Fastlane, and then something will happen, and we'll get them at WrestleMania. Like, I just I don't want to see it every week between now and Mania and then ask me to care when I've seen it for, 47 straight days or, in 6 straight weeks. So, but yeah, I mean, I think they could have a fine match with each other. I enjoy what they've been doing, but don't beat me to death with it and then expect me to care about it on the biggest stage. Matt or Mark?
I mean, it makes the most sense. The Celtic warrior versus the Scottish warrior, that we can have that rammed down our throat as well during the match. God, I hate everything about Sheamus. But
that's right. That's your guys' least favorite.
But I mean, it makes sense. You can honestly just like throw a dart at your board of wrestlers, and I think Drew would have a pretty solid match with any of them. But since this seems to be where they're going, and Michael Cole will get up for this one, I would say go for it. And if you do give it to us 48 times in a row, Jim will be forced to give that match an A-.
Let's see. How can I talk this thing up? Mark, what would you do with Drew at WrestleMania?
Well, at this point, it looks like, as everybody else said, it's going to be Sheamus and Drew. It could be a battle between the Warriors. It's a shame the Ultimate Warrior is passed because he could be special guest referee. Or maybe he had the Road Warriors.
Well, they're doing the 2021 Hall of Fame. Why doesn't Sheamus and Drew McIntyre wrestle for the Warrior Award?
You could put it in a ladder match too.
You could put it on a pole.
Put it on a pole. That's even better.
You can have them wrestling a kilt match. Whoever loses theirs first.
Once again, it's a shame Roddy Piper's not with us.
Kilt on a pole.
I think with great certainty it'll be the two of them in a WrestleMania match with some type of stipulation, whether it's last man standing or false count anywhere or something to that effect. But I don't think it'll be a regular wrestling match. It'll be a stipulation of sorts. But that is what it is. Kind of a shame for McIntyre, but
I feel like Sheamus will have to dial up the heritage though for his entrance for that show, because Drew already does the kilt and the sword thing, so Sheamus will now have to come out with a pot of gold.
A sack of potatoes and
a bunch of leprechauns.
We'll get Hornswoggle back out.
That would be funny.
Finley will announce him for the ring.
Yeah.
Now that'd be entertaining.
Certainly good. But yeah, if it's not Sheamus, is there anybody that you can think of that you'd want to see him with?
I guess maybe Randy Orton would be the next thinkable one. If it's who I want to see him with, I don't know. It's tough because McIntyre is kind of a wrestler that needs the feud. He can have good matches with people, but there has to be the buildup. So I mean, you'd have to start a storyline quick, between Fastlane and Mania, to even get to that. And I don't know who they can throw him in with for a quick buildup to a match.
What about Keith Lee?
Yeah, because they kind of had that little dust up.
Yeah. They've got history. They'd steal the show.
That would be a great one.
Is he cleared?
Yeah, I don't know, because he was quarantined because of Mia Yim, and then he was back at Raw but not on TV. Now he's out hurt. I don't know. I haven't seen anything what the injury is. So is it a bad injury that he won't be back for, or was it a minor injury that they just took him out of the match and now they're just waiting to give him reason to come back on? That's kind of the $1 million question at this point, but that would be a good one. Mark, do you have one?
Boy, you know what? Keith Lee's intriguing. I didn't think about that. Boy, honestly, I really couldn't think of anybody else.
Yeah,
Orton would make sense of sorts, but there really isn't anybody that, maybe Lesnar if Lesnar was still around in the picture, but I'd much rather see Lesnar and Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, and I feel like if Lesnar's coming back to town, it's Bobby. There's one reason why. All right, let's continue here. The last night on NXT, we got two major announcements. One being that we will get, and I know Tim doing his reaction pods loves this one. 2 nights of NXT takeover WrestleMania week. The first night, of course, on USA on Wednesday, Thursday night on Peacock, and the I guess the WWE network outside of the US. But then of course the second announcement was because of the shenanigans from the week before, the NXT women get their own tag team titles, the NXT, and they were awarded directly to Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, who will then proceed to lose them to Shotzi and Ember, which I hated at the time, but I'm better with it because I see where we're going. Big Mama Cool taking on Io Shirai, it would appear, at TakeOver. So let's start at the tag team titles. I don't hate that I shouldn't even say I don't hate. I like that they're getting a secondary title, because I think we even talked about this a week or so ago. Like, did the NXT women's division need more than just one title? And it is a deep roster. It is a fantastic roster. So I actually kind of like that they have a second title, whether it was singles or tag. My issue, if we want to call it that, is if you want them to have tag titles in NXT with the women, why can't you just have them win the WWE women's tag titles and defend them in NXT, so that they're a featured element to that show, which the roster is fantastic and with direction, and it makes people actually kind of care more about these tag titles that you've booked terribly throughout their existence. So then when they get defended against a team on Raw or against a team on SmackDown, that it actually feels a little bit bigger and there's a little bit more intrigue to it, because now you still have the women's tags on Raw and SmackDown that they seemingly have no idea what to do with. At least the NXT ones are isolated there and can't get screwed up by what's happening up top. But I like that they have an extra title. I like that there's something else for that division to fight for, because that division is deep. It is fantastic. And it's only going to get bigger with the classes that continue to develop through the Performance Center.
I think the only issue with your question, Jim, is we've seen, well, I don't even know that we've seen it often, but it's very tough for them to defend belts across brands. And I think that just goes with a storyline and believability aspect of this, because, I mean, I think they're aware that most wrestling fans know that, like, if a champ is visiting another promotion with their title that belongs to a different promotion, they're not leaving that title when they go home.
Okay.
Kind of similar to like when Cena was the US champ and defended it every week. You knew he wasn't losing it. It elevated the belt, sure, but it got to the point where it was like, all right, John, we get it. You're defending the belt. So I think that would be the only issue, because I mean, if the NXT women have a Raw or a SmackDown women's title, are they defending it on NXT every week against NXT wrestlers, or are they defending it on Raw every week? That would just be the only snag. But I do like them getting a secondary title, like you said. I think it's due for them. I didn't think it needed to be a tag title, but I mean, they have enough people that you can make feasible tag teams in NXT at this point.
Yeah, and now, like, I wouldn't add a second singles title. Like, I think if you're going to add a title to the women's division, it had to be either single or tag. And the way they did it with the kind of the screwy finish a week ago, it gave you that open door, and it made sense to award them to Dakota and Raquel right off the bat instead of doing like another tournament, which NXT kind of beats to death sometimes. So, but yeah, I wouldn't add anything else. And I don't know that they are, but I think you're in a good spot there, Tim.
I think that it's the right thing to do. It kind of sucks that they had to use the actual WWE women's titles to be the catalyst for it. I think that if they had just created their own, nobody would have been the wiser. But on the second thought, like, I mean, I'm cool with the women having their own titles, man. Like, having the tag titles. It is such a deep roster, and it's deeper than we even see.
Right.
Because they've got Priscilla Kelly and Zoe Stark. Well, it's not Priscilla Kelly anymore, but Zoe Stark and the three indie girls that they just picked up, plus Taya Valkyrie, and like there's still other women on in the performance.
Growing division.
Yeah, like there's so many that just haven't done anything yet. So it'd be cool to see how that works out. Yeah, I don't have any problems with it. It sucks Dakota gets like a one and done title reign, but
yeah,
happenstance.
Yeah, and it's also a little. I felt that was a little strange that like the face Io Shirai is like calling out Raquel, but it's a different way to get to the same it's a different road to get to the same point. Which if it's and if Raquel's the one that is gonna take the title off of Io, I'm here for all of it. She's an absolute star. Intern Mark, your thoughts on the tag titles?
You know what? I'm happy to see NXT have women's tag team championship. Initially, when they created the women's tag team titles, I had very high hopes for an NXT women's team taking the titles, or even the titles being defended more on NXT, and that didn't happen very often. For whatever reason, but I think it's great to have women's tag team belts in NXT from the since the main women's tag team titles almost never were defended in NXT.
Yeah,
were
twice. I can only remember twice.
Yeah, I can think of twice that it happened, and it's really disappointing because that could have been a huge deal. It'd been a great upset for an NXT team to take it and then go to Raw or SmackDown and defend them. But no, I'm happy to see it. And same thing. I was a little disappointed when Dakota and Raquel dropped the belts immediately, but I do like the idea of Raquel going for the NXT women's belt. So that should be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I hated it when they lost him right away. I was like, so, like, I get why they were awarded them, but I was like, this is stupid. But then, I mean, because we don't have we're less than a month, till Takeover. So, you have to maximize your time and build a 2-night card. So it makes sense there. Anything else from NXT that you want to hit on before we look back at the year that was in wrestling? So yeah, I mean, 1 year ago today, it was the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global pandemic, and I think we were all kind of shook, and we were all kind of, what does this mean, and what happens? And we had seen the NBA shut down, and baseball shut down, and NHL shut down, and workplaces were shutting down. And, is it safe to go to a store? Is it safe to go here? Is it safe to do anything besides, is it safe to walk around my block and all of this? And the first episode of WWE, they aired some clips Triple H and Michael Cole were on commentary together, which I would love to see that team back together for a night. That was fun. But like, you're in an empty performance center, and is WrestleMania happening? What we didn't know anything at that point. So now we're literally a year later, and we're looking back over performance center shows and empty Daly's Place and cinematic matches and the Thunderdome and all the things that this last year has given us. So I thought it would just be kind of fun to look back and like, what were some of the things that wrestling got right? What were some of the things that wrestling got wrong? And because I think there are some pushes that happened this year and some things that happened this year that we may not have gotten if crowds were still in place. So does anybody want to kick us off with the good, the bad, the ugly, the interesting, the surprise, whatever?
I will kick us off with the unexpected rise of Otis. Because of the pandemic, we got Otis representing for us big boys. That was a fun time, man. That was really fun having Otis at the top of the heap, possibly threatening for the world title. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. And that's one of the ones.
Oh yes, Chucky, we have our top suspect, tomato chips.
That I will go ahead and say we don't get that if there's fans in the building. Like if it wasn't for the situation, I don't even know if we get Otis in the Money in the Bank match, more or less winning it. Like I think that was a 100% product of, this guy's goofy. He's a character. He's fun. He's comedic. And it was a funny way to work him into shows. I don't think we get there if it wasn't for the pandemic. I'll kind of stick with this theme in a much different way. I don't know if we get this version of Roman Reigns this year without the pandemic. Like, we may have gotten there eventually. We may have gotten some version of it. But WWE had given us no reason to believe that you were going to change Roman's look, change Roman's style, his booking, his attitude, anything. He goes away and he returns a different Roman Reigns. He returns with Paul Heyman. Like, that's something I don't know if we get that if we don't have the pandemic. Do you guys think that we get there?
No, I was thinking the same thing even before you mentioned it. I don't know that we would have got the heel Reigns with Heyman. I absolutely love it, but I don't know if that would have happened without the pandemic. There's fans in the building. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see that happen, at least not right away, or not within the past year.
I think we get there, but it's not as dramatic. Like, I think the way that his return happens and everything, the drama makes it much better.
I don't think we get the Fiend the way we've gotten him either, because the cinematic stuff with the Fiend, a lot of that is stuff you can't do in front of a live crowd. A lot of what made the Fiend fantastic this past year, we don't get 50% of it if there's live people in the audience, because of the cutaways, the pre-recorded stuff. And this is just beyond the cinematic matches. Do we get those without a pandemic? Probably not either, maybe, but who knows? But for sure, a lot of the good stuff from the Fiend and with Alexa is just tough to do if there's an audience in-house.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that they've used the Thunderdome to the fullest extent of its capabilities for the entire time, yeah, the stuff with the Fiend and Alexa and Randy, and like over the last, month, 6 weeks, whatever it is. I mean, obviously they don't fully light the Fiend's carcass on fire if there's a crowd there, because when are you going to do that dummy switch? So yeah, like I mean, it sucks that we're still dealing with no fans at WWE shows, and we're still doing the virtual thing. Which, by the way, did you see? It might have been, was it Bleacher Report WWE or WWE on Fox? But they posted like classic moments in WWE history with like the virtual fans in the background, like the Undertaker's loss with like the Thunderdome screen, and like the screw job with the Thunderdome, and it hurt my soul that they inserted virtual fans
Is
into
that is that on the WWE website?
It was either Bleacher Report's WWE Twitter, or it was WWE on Fox's Twitter. Start at Bleacher Report, because I feel like it was there, and it was earlier in the week. Devin here says the cinematic matches. Lee was going to echo what you said about the Fiend. But it sucks, but having no fans and whatever. But I said this back, even when we had WrestleMania, and it was a bummer that we had a WrestleMania at the Performance Center in front of the fan in the ceiling. But to me, one of the best things in this year that was with pro wrestling is that we always still had it. AEW found ways to adapt. WWE found ways to adapt. Impact came back. Ring of Honor came back. MLW came back. Like, wrestling didn't stop. And when we went months without sports and we were watching old games, rebroadcasts of old games and old golf matches and stuff like that, wrestling was still new. Wrestling was still there on a Monday night, Wednesday night, Friday night, pay-per-views. It was there to entertain us. And to me, that especially for the first couple of months when like things really sucked. And not that they don't still kind of suck, but like things really sucked. That was such a welcomed escape. And it I think it, for me anyway, and I hopefully for a lot of people, like it just kind of like re-emphasized like just my love for professional wrestling, because it as it always has been, it never went away. Like to me, that was a great thing.
And it just encourages me that I feel like it's going to be stronger when it comes back.
Yeah, I think so.
Because did you see, and I don't know if you're going to cover it in the news and rumors, but there's talks that WWE is going to tour again.
Yeah.
That they're going out, their talks in the summer.
Yeah. Which I mean, because for a while we were under the belief that besides Raw and SmackDown and pay-per-views, that there wasn't really going to be live shows from the WWE. Maybe the occasional, holidays at MSG and stuff like that, your biggest markets. But the only time you were going to see WWE live was for TV. So that's exciting. That's encouraging. That even indie shows have found a way to adapt and continue and do some things. And I mean, obviously some had some COVID issues and whatnot, but they've all found found ways to adjust and get through it.
Who would have thunk that the current political climate would benefit WWE more than the previous?
Yeah. Kind of did not see that coming. Did not see that coming.
It's SummerSlam. It's SummerSlam 2020 all over again.
Intern Mark, anything from the last year, good, bad, in between?
I'd say same thing you said, Jim. I'm just thankful that when everything kind of shut down, and I'm not a sports fan, but pro wrestling kept going on with new live content. So even though it wasn't ideal conditions with no fans, but it was still content every week. And I was thinking too, the Undertaker AJ Styles match for WrestleMania last year. How far in advance was that announced? And because I don't think they were actually going to have. I think it always was that Boneyard match. It wasn't something where they had to make that cinematic because of the pandemic.
No, because they laid the groundwork for that at the Saudi show in February. I think it was February, because they did that the Battle Crag tournament or whatever.
So to give it to you in perspective, and let me just go to what WrestleMania 36 was. So WrestleMania 36 was April 4th and 5th.
Okay.
March 23rd, AJ announces the Boneyard match.
Yeah, because I think we we kind of
so
knew
2.5 weeks before WrestleMania.
We kind of knew that they were on a collision course because it was the Saudi show. Which can you look at when the date of that Saudi show was? Because
was that Super Showdown?
I think so, because Elimination Chamber was the last show, the last pay-per-view before things shut down. It was like on the 8th of March. Raw the next night was the last WWTV that was alive, and then 2 days later it shut down.
Yep. So it was February 27th, 2020. It was the To Wake Trophy.
Yes.
Gauntlet match that Undertaker won.
Yeah.
The Aggro Crag.
So Taker won that by defeating AJ Styles, and that kind of laid the groundwork to start us towards WrestleMania, because I think there was rumblings that those two were being discussed. And then when we end up in these empty buildings, it was like, are they really just going to do a match between AJ Styles and the Undertaker in an empty performance center? I'm like, that's probably not going to go well. But I just assumed they were going to back out. And then, when ponytail biker guy starts showing up at the performance center and they announce the Boneyard match, what the fuck is a Boneyard match? And obviously, that was the first cinematic match, and to me is still the best one. And it exceeded my expectation. I don't think I had expectations. I had no clue what the hell they were going to do. And and it goes down in history, and I think too, one of the highlights of the year was like the documentary programming that we got as well. The Last Ride, and we've had it before, but like when you have more time on your hands to delve into things, it was pretty cool as well. Lee says here in the comments, just like any rough spot I've been through throughout my life, wrestling has always been there, at least for a little bit every week. Yeah. I remember, because WrestleMania, you said it was April 4th. And they moved it to 2 nights, but that's less than a month from really when the world stopped. And that was literally days after I found out that I went from working at home to furloughed. So everything in my life was ass over tea kettle at that point. I was, and for me to be able to put on the WWE network and escape that and just get kind of lost in wrestling for a couple hours for 2 straight days, that was awesome. I had stopped doing the show. We took a couple of weeks off the show, which we had never really done before. We would have a week or two here or there where we had something recorded. We never really stopped. And I to 100% honest, I had no clue if or when. I figured when it was going to happen at some point, but I had no clue when that we were going to start doing shows again. And then I was like, Matt and Ryan, you guys did the WrestleMania preview show. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to call in and I'm going to jump on. And from that point on, and then when I kind of got lost into WrestleMania, I was like, holy hell, I needed that. So, and we adapted, we you've done what everybody else is doing at this point. You do Zoom calls and whatnot. And it's, I've used this show and wrestling to be that, and it's been great, and things are somewhat looking a little bit positive again. I mean, my concern is in things from the last year is still kind of holding my excitement in a little bit, but there is reason to be a little bit optimistic here, and I think it's something that and Mark's gone. Oh, there he's back. But yeah, I mean, it's and I think too, not just from WWE, not from just from NXT, but like at times like AEW, and there has been points where I've thought the in-ring work was even better than we had gotten from the companies beforehand, because they realized when there's no crowd, there's more of an emphasis. So I give kudos, to everybody across the board, for stepping up their game when they had to.
Right on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, thank you, wrestling.
100%. All right. Any other thoughts from the year that was before we get to the news?
All I'll say is this. When New Year's hit, I said that the world and everything in general had until March 11th to shake off. You had 2 months and some change to shake off all the rest of the bad stuff that happened in 2020. So starting tomorrow until the end of the year, get your ish together, 2021.
Right?
No surprises, no bad surprises, no new super pandemics, no nothing.
Please no.
I don't need a Sharknado being a thing.
Right. Yeah, we don't need any of that. We need good things. We need good things.
Actually, it was one thing after the other. It was awful.
Yeah.
When is Miriam's Pies going to come out with their own COVID vaccine? Because we got Moderna. Did you get the Moderna or the Johnson & Johnson or the Pfizer or the Miriam's Pies?
Miriam's Pies.
Man, if they put that in a whoopie pie, I'd be all about it right now.
You won't get the soreness in the arm with the Miriam's one. Just get the tingling on the tongue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel if I end up getting my shot at the vet, but you know what? At this point, I'll take it. If I have to go to the vet, if I have to go to the dentist, whatever.
Just go a little twofer for Skipper. Like, I'm coming to pick up some CBD stuff for him, and then for me, can you just give me that COVID?
What are we seeing Skip for today? No, I'm here for my shots.
He drove me in. They told me that I wasn't safe to drive after the COVID shot, so I brought Skip.
He's out in the car.
He's gonna drive me home.
All right, let's look at the news here. The WWE announced this week that the 2021 Hall of Fame induction ceremony will stream Tuesday night, April the 6th, exclusively on Peacock in the U.S. on the WWE Network. Everywhere outside of the United States, for the first time ever, the ceremony will feature 2 classes of inductees taking their place in sports entertainment history. Of course, the 2020 class, which didn't have their induction last year, comprised of Batista, the NWO, the Bella Twins, JBL, British Bulldog, and Jushin Thunder Liger, will join a new class of inductees for 2021. Those will be announced on WWE's digital platforms and WWE.com. And also yesterday on The Bump, introduced by the Hurricane, Molly Holly will be the very first inductee to the 2021 class of the WWE Hall of Fame. Always loved Molly Holly, so this is a great start to the 2021 class.
Yeah, it's about time for Molly Holly.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anyone that you really would like to see announced as part of the 2021 class?
Is Coco Beware in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, Coco is in.
For celebs, they could try Donald Trump. Oh, no, he's already.
He went in 2007. Close.
Can we have a ceremony for him? So instead of inducting someone in, can we have an official removal of 45 from the Hall of Fame?
They could have a removal ceremony. That'd be fun. Celebrity wise, every year I'm always hopeful this will be the year that Cyndi Lauper gets in there, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, I mean, with WrestleMania being in Florida, do not roll out Flo Rida as the 2021 celebrity wing. I saw people saying that, is this the year Taker gets in? And I'm like, no. Because I would assume and I don't think they announced whether or not it's going to, is this an in-person?
I believe this is going to be a Zoom Hall of Fame.
Right. If it's a Zoom Hall of Fame, I don't mean Mark from Texas zooming in from the ranch.
I don't need Mark from Texas getting inducted in Florida when WrestleMania 38 is in Texas.
Yes.
Right.
That's when The Undertaker goes in, and I still argue maybe by himself.
38 special, WrestleMania 38 special is going to be
yeah, I don't need
Mark from Texas going in with the clamoring co-branded WWE 9-line shirts. You can get them now. God, man, I swear.
Be ready for it. Be ready.
You think the Rock goes in? He's by himself as well.
He could probably go in at 39 when WrestleMania is in Hollywood.
Wait, is he not in?
No.
How is he not in yet? Well, I guess
good question.
Kind of questionably active, maybe. I just assumed he was already in.
No, he's not in yet.
Yeah, so maybe he gets. Well, I mean, I think he's the headliner in Hollywood.
He could also go in this year. It's in Florida.
Could, but I think he's got to have a crowd there for that one, and I mean it would make sense too.
I think that they really wait for The Rock until WrestleMania 40.
Okay,
you do it at 40. Big, gigantic milestone WrestleMania.
Hollywood would be 39.
Hollywood's 38 or no 39. Hollywood's 39.
Let's be honest.
40
be Miami.
40 will probably be, and I bet you it'll be in Madison Square Garden again. They will, because Madison Square Garden got remodeled.
It is a little, it is a little bigger, but
it's a little bigger. And if you do it, I always feel like WWE, like, yes, you want the spectacle of having 90,000 people, but if you make it to where it's 25,000 seats, all of those tickets are expensive as hell.
Well, that's true.
WWE can make up for the missing gate and then make a reason for people to go to Peacock and go to wherever else to watch.
Wherever it's on at that point.
Now, I get it doesn't make it as big of an event, like tourism wise, to come in.
Sure.
Because
but if you're running SmackDown, assuming that shows are still as they are, SmackDown, TakeOver, WrestleMania, Monday Night Raw, all at the Garden.
Plus the Collective, plus
I mean, New York is
whatever else, man.
A lot of fun.
WrestleMania this year in Tampa is going to be off the hook. Next year in Texas, I'm hearing rumblings from people in the independent wrestling circles that WrestleMania weekend for Dallas and LA is being planned now.
Damn. I mean,
now,
especially given it's still going to be big, but I assume it's still tamped to a degree this year because of the obvious, even though I think DeSantis could declare COVID over back in October.
Yeah, but they'll still have fans.
Yeah. But I mean, there's not anybody else that I'm can super think of that I'm hoping gets in this year because again,
Gronk.
God no.
Goldberg, so he finally hangs him up.
He's already in.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He headlined that was the year he returned because that's when his kid was there. And
oh God, I definitely just wiped that from my memory. his kid dabbing.
I tell you, who's not going to get in this year? Christian.
Owen Hart.
Good question.
But I can guarantee Christian is not going to get in.
It's not Christian's year. Is Butch Reed in? Didn't he go in the other year?
I don't think so. I don't think Butch Reed's in.
Or is he in like the legacy wing or whatever? Because they have that as well. Like they have a couple of.
Yeah. That legacy wing's kind of sad.
Yeah, Butch Reed's not in.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be a good one because he was over in Florida.
Yeah.
Good point.
He would be the posthumous Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But again, this is one of those ones too, because it's on Zoom. Like I don't know that I think this is a year. I'm not trying to like.
True.
You got Ron Simmons and Teddy Long that can accept.
You know,
Yeah,
you
that's true.
You can put in people that wouldn't get like the biggest reaction because you're not going to have a live crowd there to watch it. So, all right. Starting March 18th, some of the details for the network switch to Peacock came out this week. Starting March 18th, Peacock will begin rolling out WWE Network content just before WWE Fastlane, which of course will be the first pay-per-view event on the service. The new WWE destination on Peacock will feature fan favorite content at launch, including all past WrestleManias leading up to WrestleMania 37, which will only be available on Peacock in the U.S. WWE will have a dedicated page on Peacock where fans can browse and access content, because that was something that we weren't sure about when the deal was first announced. I know Ryan and I talked about that when we were discussing it. It's like, am I going to have to scroll past like The Office and Parks and Rec to be able to find WrestleMania? No, it will have a WWE dedicated page. Peacock will continually add WWE Network content to the library, making the entire network archive, including every WWE, WCW, and ECW pay-per-view event in history, available to stream on demand before SummerSlam. So it appears it's going to be a somewhat there's going to be a transitional period between the network we have now and what it will be on Peacock moving forward. So some of your archive stuff won't be available right away. A Peacock Premium will be home to all upcoming pay-per-view events and current seasons of WWE original shows. In the free tier, Peacock will offer a new WWE channel, which will have select original shows like Ms. and Mrs., Total Bellas, Total Divas, recent in-ring content, and new weekly episodes of select live shows like Raw Talk and WWE's The Bump, which I think some of those are already available on the free version of the WWE Network as it is. The existing standalone WWE Network app in the United States will cease to exist on April the 4th. That is when the network as we know it in the U.S. Will cease April 4th. Peacock will then become the exclusive streaming home to the WWE Network inside the U.S. to continue streaming the content. Fans will need to sign up for Peacock. It'll be available on Peacock Premium, which is $4.99 a month, and they and you can get a savings on that now at peacocktv.com/WWE. There's also a Peacock Premium Plus, which is ad-free for $9.99 a month, and it is available on numerous services. If you're an Xfinity X1 customer, and then you get it included in your service, like me. So I am actually saving money, more money in this deal. But it's currently available on the Roku platform, Apple devices, Google platforms, Chromecast, Xbox One, PlayStation devices, Vizio SmartCast TVs, and LG smart TVs. So those are some of the details with the changeover. I know some people not super thrilled that the archive content will be a delayed transition, which I get. But if we go back to the original launch of the network, it was a delayed upload as well. I'm curious. I'm more curious to see what exactly gets over right away, and how long some of the transition takes. But so I'll kind of reserve judgment on that decision at this point.
It sucks, dude. Like, we're paying for a discounted network, so we're gonna get a discounted network. Like, that's what you get. But that deal on Peacock TV / WWE, you get 4 months of Peacock Premium for the cost of 2.
Okay.
So 50% off.
Like $250 a month.
Yeah, it's $9.99 for 4 months as opposed to $4.99 a month.
Oh, so if you sign up for that deal, you just
4
pay
months.
4 months, right?
For $9.99.
All right, and so that'll kind of give them time to transition the stuff over. And then lastly in the news tonight, WWE will likely be moving the WWE Thunderdome to the Yuengling Center on the University of South Florida campus in Tampa, Florida. Of course, we reported weeks ago, and it was obvious the WWE is going to be having to move from Tropicana Field because Major League Baseball is kicking off at the beginning of next month. But they do want to keep their tapings in and around the Tampa area. The Yuengling Center, and there's no conflict here because the in arena sports at South Florida have not been playing anyway because of COVID season. So they will not have scheduling conflicts there. WWE ran the Yuengling Center years ago before some of the bigger options in the area, including the 1995 Royal Rumble was held at I forget the name of it back then, but also Saturday night's main event in December 1985 and again in December of 1988. So a little bit of history there with the WWE, but that would appear as of right now to be the new landing spot for the WWE Thunderdome. And who knows, maybe by the time you'd potentially have to move out of there, we can be back and doing live shows summer or fall by that point anyway. But that we'll keep an eye on as the summer and the rest of the year plays out. But Thunderdome will be on the move. Anything else? Any guys got anything else tonight? All right, then we're going to close this thing out. Tim, let the people know anything they need to know.
Of course, at Not the Tool Man across all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, if you care. If you enjoy what you hear from me here on Thursdays, whether you're joining us live on Facebook or if you're getting us wherever you get your podcasts, check me out on one of my other 2 shows. Final Wrestling Place is a weekly show that takes place. SoundCloud.com/Final Wrestling Place is the home. Final Place Pod on Twitter, where we take the nouns of professional wrestling, the persons, the places, the things, and the ideas, and we give them arbitrary red points and green points, and we put them in either the good place or the bad place. Since it is sign pointing season, and it's March, we're doing Mania Madness. There you go. We're doing Mania Madness. We're taking the top 8 and bottom 8 WrestleMania celebrities of all time and putting them against each other in a tournament. The winner of the Good Place bracket gets a guaranteed place in the Good Place Hall of Fame, and the loser of the Bad Place bracket gets escorted directly into the Bad Place Hall of Fame. So that's super fun. And we mentioned it a time or two before, but also Viewer's Choice podcast on the North-South Connection, northsouthconnection.podbean.com, at VC on North-South on Twitter, is a live reaction podcast that I do immediately after every WWE, AEW, and NXT pay-per-view. And in case you didn't see, I'm going to need some thoughts and prayers for WrestleMania season, because I might have to do 4 shows in a weekend, not including Final Wrestling Place and 3 Count Thursday. I'm going to be dead. I've already put my PTO in for the Monday after WrestleMania, so I don't have to talk about anything ever to anyone at all again.
Yeah, me too. There was a soundbite that it was serving a 1-week suspension this week.
Yes,
because of what the fuck was that segment on Raw this past week?
He's dead forever, man. Goodbye.
Served a 1-week suspension. We'll see if it can live on.
Which way did he go?
Oh. Matt, what do you got to plug this week?
Yep. Make sure you are following the 3 Count Thursday Instagram page. That's at 3 Count Thursday. We post stuff that we have going on. Jim shares a lot of stuff to the story. And then we do a Woman of the Week feature. This week we are featuring Viva Van. So go give her a follow as well. Each like on the post counts as a vote towards that woman for the Woman of the Year contest. You can follow me on Twitter. It's at 3CT, the letter A, Philly as in Philadelphia, and then number 8, so 3CT affiliate. And then every other Wednesday, so next week, you can hear me, my co-host Ant, on the Whiz Wit podcast, where we talk all things Philly sports. Next week, we will be doing a retrospective of sorts as we look at the 10-year anniversary of the Phillies rotation that had the 4 aces and a joker. So follow along for that one.
Very nice. Intern Mark, you got anything?
Well, I'm going to leave everybody with some wisdom. If in life, boys and girls out there, if you're not changing, you are choosing. So let's go out and make a difference. Everybody have a great week.
Very good. I like that, Mark. You can, of course, follow Ryan whenever he wakes up from his slumber, his hibernation, preparing for what will be a crazy WrestleMania week. You can follow him at RYN Eagle. You can follow me at Big Jim Sports. But, of course, make sure you are just following along with the show at 3 Count Thursday, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Go to 3countthursday.com. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Rate and review us on Apple. But you can find us anywhere. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube as well. We make sure we get things posted and check everything out 3 Count related. Get our merchandise at whatamaneuver.net. And until next week, stay safe, stay smart, and go for the pin. Recount Thursday is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app. That's arenaeats.app for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?